Welcome back to the channel, guys, and I hope you guys are doing pretty good. So this is the day 6 of our 90 days SDET interview preparation series on YouTube. If you're watching this particular video for the very first time, stop. Please don't continue. I will highly recommend that you go and complete the old lectures first. There's a dedicated playlist that I have created. The link of that particular playlist will be in the description section. Complete the old lectures first and then come and watch this particular lecture. Now, some of you guys were asking me, Jatin, where are the lectures on Saturdays and Sundays? The thing is, please watch the video till the end, guys. What did I say in the last video? The lectures are only going to be released Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. IST. Saturday and Sunday, I won't be releasing any new lecture. The simple reason for that is I want you guys to use Saturdays and Sundays only and only for your revision. So for some reason, if you're not able to watch the videos over the weekdays, use Saturdays and Sundays to study those lectures. Now, in today's class, we will be talking about a very interesting interview question. Now, the thing over here is the notes of this entire series will be kept in the YouTube Tech with Jatin membership. If you guys have not taken the membership, I will highly recommend that you take that, because over there, not only the notes are available, but I have also kept exclusive interview questions. Now, without wasting time, let's get started with today's class. So, we got an interview question over here, and the question goes something like this. Google Meet has introduced a new transcription feature for meetings. How would you approach testing this feature? Okay, this is the interview question. The question over here is, Google Meet has introduced a transcription feature for meetings. How would you approach the testing of this particular feature? What do you mean by transcription? You're watching this particular video on YouTube. At the bottom, you're going to find that option called CC, right? The moment you click on CC, what happens? You will be able to see subtitle. Whatever I am speaking, you will be able to see it in the form of text, right? The subtitles, you'll be able to see it off. Now, what Google Meet has done is, they have introduced the same thing even in the Google Meets, right? In your live meetings and all. So let's say there is this user A and user B. They are using Google Meets, and technically, whenever the two users or the two people are speaking, the real-time audio is captured and is technically sent to this speech-to-text conversion engine. So what this speech-to-text engine is going to do, whatever is the audio, that audio will be converted into text. And that text is technically going to be displayed over the screen. So the live transcription is displayed. And once the meeting ends, the final processing is going to happen and the final transcription is going to be created, and the user can download and view the transcript. So the interviewer is asking, how will you test this entire feature? Are you getting the point? So, if you're going to say that, Jatin, we can test it from UI, we can test it from API, you're going to get rejected. That's not the whole thing is. Never really talk about tools when such kind of questions are asked in interview. And these questions are very common these days. You know, in interview, they can ask you, how would you test your WhatsApp? Or how would you test your Google document? Or how would you test, Zoom stuff? So these questions are very commonly asked. All the applications that you use on day-to-day basis, what will be your approach to test those applications, those features? That is going to be asked in your managerial round, in your scenario-driven interview questions. These are the questions that can be asked a lot. Now, whenever these questions are asked, never directly approach it from the tool's perspective. Don't say I'm going to use Rest Assured or Postman, or I'm going to use Selenium WebDriver and Playwright and all. Please don't do that. Now, what should be our approach to test this particular feature? Now, the first thing that we need to focus over here is we will be focusing on understanding how this feature works properly. So, over here, as a tester, our job is to understand what exactly the transcription feature does. What exactly the transcription feature does. And the next thing that comes over here is what should be the expected accuracy level. Right now, I'm talking to you guys, and probably if you would have clicked on the CC button, you will also see the subtitle coming into picture. Now, I am speaking in Indian accent, okay? So we want that irrespective of what is the accent, okay, the words are properly understood by this speech to text engine, okay? Because the pronunciation of a word differs in different accents, okay? People speak it in a different way, but we still want that this engine needs to understand it properly. So there should be a benchmark, there should be a metric decided for the accuracy. So setting up this particular metric is really important. The second thing is we need to understand what are the supported languages as well as the accent. All right. Is it just going to support the normal English or the local languages? Hindi, Marathi, Telugu, Punjabi, or foreign languages, German, French, all these things, are they introduced in that? Okay. So we need to understand that. And next is going to be the operating condition. What do you mean by operating condition? Right now, when I'm talking to you, I am in this closed environment. There's no background noise. But imagine you and I, we were in a Google Meet or in a Zoom meeting, and probably I was taking this meeting from a cafe or, like while driving the car or something like that. There will be a lot of background noise, right? There will be a lot of background noise. Probably there will be a dog who is going to bark, or there will be some stranger who's talking next to me. So we still want that the focus needs to be on the main speaker and not on the surrounding, right? Along with that, the most important thing that we need to focus on is any latency or availability expectation. What is going to be the latency as well as the availability of this feature? Now, as I am speaking, the subtitle is also getting shown to you. Okay? How quickly, or I would say at what delay that subtitle is basically shown to you is the latency. And availability talks about how often that feature is available for usage. So this thing, what you see now, guys, is basically what you call as requirement gathering. Now, a lot of time in interview, people start with this only, that they are going to do requirement gathering. But that answer is not enough. You have to be very precise. You have to be very explicit in talking about all these scenarios. What all things you're going to cover in requirement gathering. And this thing comes with experience. See, most of the time when I'm taking the interview, I have seen that people always talk in terms of tools. Okay? They never talk in terms of approaches. So if they want to test an API, they will definitely say that I'm going to use Postman or I'm going to use REST Assured. For performance testing, they're probably going to say JMeter or Gatling or something like that. So the thing is, in today's time where you have AI, you have your Codex, you have your Claude Code, you have your Cursor AI, and these tools do a very good job in writing the code. So what is going to be the scope of human, right? When we are talking about, an engineer, what is the scope or what is the task of a developer or an automation engineer? See, when we are talking about our task, let's say automation engineer, people start thinking that it is about writing automation scripts. All right? People think that the job of automation engineer or SDET is to just focus on writing automation script. The answer is no. You were never really hired to write code. Writing code is just a subtask. The main task that comes into picture is thinking. Okay? Thinking. So, when we are saying that we will be writing automation script, before AI also, we used to think how we will automate a particular feature, how we are going to test a particular feature. That's the main thing, the thinking part. And once you have a plan ready, only and only then you will start writing the automation script. Now this thing, writing of the automation script is going to be taken care by your AI agents and all. But the thinking part is still going to be your responsibility. So the context, how we will be approaching a particular problem needs to be decided by you guys. So in today's time, if you're preparing for interviews, please make sure that you have a better clarity as well as, you understand the system properly. A lot of time people say that, Jatin, in today's time, if I want to prepare for automation testing, should I just focus on learning Playwright? The answer is no. Playwright is still there in the demand. Like if you go to the job description, you're going to see all those things. Your focus should be on doing two things: learning programming languages, along with that, improve your critical thinking. How you are going to test a particular application, how you are going to test a system, how does the system components interact with each other. So system design is something which is going to play a very important role. Are you getting the point? Now, coming back to this particular answer, so the step number 1 is going to be requirement gathering. And in requirement gathering, guys, what are the things that we will be focusing on? We will try to understand what exactly the transcription feature is going to do. The second thing is we will try to understand the accuracy level. What is the expected accuracy level? And what are the different languages and accent which are going to be supported by this speech to text engine? Along with that, we are going to start defining the operating condition, how much noise, multiple speakers are allowed, as well as how long the meeting is going to be. So these things are going to be the operating conditions that you need to define first. Along with that, we need to understand any latency or availability expectation that we need to set for our testing. Now, the moment you are going to say latency and availability, the next question that interviewer can ask you is, what is latency and availability? Okay, what is latency and availability? And these terms basically comes from system design. When we are talking about latency is basically the time delay between user action and system response. It is the time delay between the user action and system response. Right now, on the screen, if you see that caption, how quickly it is coming as I'm speaking. Is there a delay over there? That delay is basically your latency. And latency is always going to be measured in milliseconds or seconds. High latency basically means that if the feature is working slowly, the slow experience is there. And whenever you want to test latency, you will be doing performance testing or latency testing. And that time, you will be using tools like your Locust, K6 or JMeter. Is this part making sense to everyone? What is latency? Next is availability. Availability is basically measured in percentage. the percentage of time the system is up and accessible. Generally, we want to aim for 99.99% availability. Low availability means the system is not accessible. So if you say that the availability is 5%, it means half of the time, not even half, 95% of the time your system is down. Okay. Reliability testing is preferred. And for that, tools like Chaos Monkey or Gremlin is used. Okay. Chaos Monkey is basically a tool which was created by Netflix. You should definitely check it out. And there is like this enterprise tool, which is this Gremlin. So please make sure that you do check on these two tools. Is this part making sense to everyone? Now, the thing is, we want to do the requirement gathering. So where exactly we're going to get all these informations? We're going to get all these informations from your product requirement document or the PRD documents. The technical design documents, you're supposed to discuss with your product manager and developer, and internal documentation or any release notes. So the first thing is going to be requirement gathering, and this is how we are going to approach our problem. We are not just directly going to start using any tools, or we're going to say that no, we're going to test APIs. No, first do the requirement gathering properly. Okay, and these are the things that we will be focusing on. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. Now the next thing, guys, we will be defining the scope of testing. Once we have gone through all these documents and we have gone through the proper requirement gathering phase, we will define the scope of testing. Now, what are we trying to test over here? We are trying to test the speech to text engine, because the real-time audio capture is going to be sent to this particular chap, and this component is going to create the live transcript display. So over here, to test the speech to text conversion or the SDET, we will be focusing on various parameters. We will be focusing on accuracy testing. We will be checking how accurate this SDET system is. The audio will be given to SDET and it is going to generate the text. So what is the input and how well the text is getting generated, that we need to check how accurate they are. Then we also need to check the language and the accent coverage. So based on different languages with different accent, we will be checking the SDET. Performance and latency, robustness, that is noise, interruption and overlapping of speech. What if two people are speaking at the same time? Then the most important one, privacy and compliance. Suppose I am talking in the meeting and I technically say something which is confidential, something which is personal over there. My personal information or client related information are there. So those information should not be kept in the transcripts. So for that, we need to make sure that PII as well as data handling is there proper. What does PII stands for? Personal identifiable information. Because we want to ensure that in the transcripts, there should be no confidential information discussed and kept over there. All right, it should not get converted. Is this part clear? So these are the things that we need to check in the SDET, speech to text engine. Okay. Now this particular document is only going to focus on accuracy testing. How to ensure that the SDET, this engine, is generating accurate text from the speech. So over here, whenever we are trying to focus on accuracy testing, the thing is, in the SDET, whenever a user is going to say something, it needs to understand the intent. Along with that, it needs to understand where those pauses are coming. So over here, if you observe carefully the first one. The therapist said he saw the rapist today. Now, over here, the therapist and the rapist, if there is a very tiny pause, the STT should be able to identify that and it should be able to differentiate between these two chaps properly. Next, it should be able to differentiate between numbers as well as the numerical or the alphabetical stuff, the words. We need to deliver too many features at 202. So it needs to differentiate between this two, the 2 as well as the number 2. Let's eat grandma, not later. So it should be able to understand where to put the punctuation. Because if this comma is not there, okay, or if this particular comma is there, the entire statement changes, the meaning is going to change. Let's eat grandma or let's eat grandma. So this is something that the STT system should be checked upon, the accuracy. He knows, no one knows his nose. So nose, nose and nose. Same sound but different meaning. It should be able to differentiate between the words which are having the same sound but their meaning are different. I said Thursday. No, wait, Wednesday. So when the transcript is going to be generated, it should just say, I said Wednesday, not Friday or Thursday. Finally, so the deploy, let's say there is a cuff, failed again. It should be able to differentiate between the noise and the words. Okay? This is what you call as the, the critical thinking. Or you are trying to come up with ideas on how to test the system. Okay? Here, if you look carefully, we have not even discussed on the tools and the libraries. We are only coming up with approaches. That which approach will be better for testing this kind of a feature. Is this part making sense? Now, when we are talking about accuracy cannot be subjective. What do you mean by subjective? If I ask you, how was your day? Okay? If I ask you, how was your day? Everyone is going to have a very different definition of a good or a bad day. If you ask a kid how was their day, for them, if the teacher was absent, it was pretty a good day for them, right? But if I ask you, probably if you would have slept for let's say 8-9 hours, you'll say the day was good, I had a pretty good sleep. And if let's say you were able to complete all the tasks for today, you will say that it was a productive day, it was a good day. And for people, if it was a Saturday or Sunday, like I enjoyed the day today, then it was a good day. So the definition of good and bad changes from person to person. So it's a very subjective thing. But in our STT, we cannot just have a very subjective definition of accuracy. There should be some level of metric that we need to define. Just because the speech is getting converted into the text, we cannot just say that, okay, this feature is working accurately and you're getting the output. No, there should be a metric defined. So whenever you're talking about accuracy of your speech to text engine, the accuracy is always going to be defined on word error rate. So accuracy cannot be subjective. It needs to be measured well. Define a clear industry standard metric. And for your speech to text conversion, the metric is going to be word error rate. Word error rate. So this WER measures substitution, insertion and deletion. Substitution basically means what? A wrong word replaces the correct word. Suppose while speaking I say, I love automation testing. And the transcript that is getting generated, it shows I love automation texting. So automatically what it is doing, it is substituting testing with texting. Insertion. Extra words are getting added that was never spoken. Reference is going to be deploy the build. And over here it is saying deploy the new build. So this new got added. And deletion. A word that was spoken which is missing. Let's say the reference, the speaker is saying start the meeting recording, but the transcript only covers start the meeting. So it is deleting something. So whenever you are testing the STT, lower WER, word error rate, is always going to be better. So better transcription accuracy will be achieved. Is this part making sense to everyone? Perfect. So this is going to be the step 3 that we will be defining the key accuracy metric. And for us, it is going to be the lower WER rate. Now, the thing is, how we will be testing this accuracy? Because we have defined that we want lower WER rate. So, how to test this thing? Right now, it was just the metric that we have defined that we will be checking the STT based on your lower WER. Now, to test this accuracy, you can do it either 2 ways. Either you can go for manual or automation. We'll first focus on the manual testing, which obviously will not be scalable in long run, but for initial start, it is going to be a good approach. So the manual way would be, I will be using this particular feature. I'm going to speak in the meeting, look at the transcript, what is getting generated, and I'm going to visually check the correctness. So the thing is, it is not reliable or scalable, but it is good for sanity. Okay. So once the feature has been deployed into production and you just want to do a quick check whether the feature is working or not, you can really go with this manual approach. The step 5 over here would be that we will go for automation based accuracy testing. And this, to be honest, is going to be far more better than the manual one. So what we will be doing is we will be using predefined reference text. I'm not going to abruptly say anything. There will be predefined text and the automation tools will be used to measure the accuracy objectively. Now, from where we will be getting this reference text? So there are various libraries. I have kept one library name for you guys over here, which is LibriSpeech. And what LibriSpeech is, it is going to have like thousands of, like English paragraphs that is commonly used for checking the STT tools. How it works? We will prepare a known sentence or paragraph. The speaker reads exactly that content. The system generates a transcript. We compare the reference text and the generated transcript. This is going to give us clean, repeatable, measurable results. So everything will be predefined. What is going to be spoken during the meeting? We're going to compare the speech text with the transcripted text. Okay? And we just want that the WER percentage rate should be as low as possible. So this is the end-to-end approach. Meeting ends. Audio file is going to be generated. Audio will be extracted. Okay, speech to text engine is going to be there. Transcript is going to be generated. Comparison with the reference text. Okay, so from the LibriSpeech library, I'm going to get the reference text and I'm going to compare the transcripted text with the reference text. WER is going to be calculated, and based on the threshold that we are deciding for WER, let's say we will say that we want the WER rate should be less than 1%. Okay. So this error rate should be less than 1%. And if it is less than 1%, we're going to say it's pass or it's failing, something like that. And then we will just share the reports. Okay. So this will be the flow. Where did I use Selenium? Where did I spoke about your API testing? No, not at all. Are you getting the point? So it's really important to understand how systems work. So this is something which I want you guys to understand it properly. When you're talking about testing now, okay, it is going to be really important that you start understanding how the system works. Okay, I have not randomly added this particular question. This was the question which was asked in the interview. Okay, so please make sure that you understand it properly. Now, some of you guys will be thinking, Are Jatin, which automation libraries you're going to use for testing this entire speech to text engine? The thing is, I have divided into two. One is Python libraries and the second is Java libraries. You're free to choose whatever works for you. The first one is basically this SCTK library, which is technically going to be used for post transcription, meaning once the transcription is created, it's going to calculate the word error rate. So we want to calculate the word error rate of the transcripted file. You can use the library called SCTK. Then we have something which is called as this Levenshine distance, which is again going to be used in post transcription. And this is going to be used to check the similarity between the original text, okay, or the speech and the transcripted text. Then we have the NLTK or the NLP libraries. This is going to be used for text processing as well as for cleaning the text as well as tokenization. Then you have the PyTest library. This is just for your automation as well as doing the assertions. And finally, you will be having a CI pipeline because obviously you want to keep on running the same test again and again at different times. So you will be integrating it with your CI pipeline. So this is something which is there for Python. And if you want to do it with Java, then for your Levenshine distance library, you can use Apache Common Text. NLP processing, you have OpenNLP for Java. Test framework, you're going to use JUnit or Test Engine. And again, you will be integrating it with your respective CI tool. So this was the question, guys. And at the end, I have just attached the complete flow. Once you understand this entire testing approach, what you guys can do now is sometimes in interview, they ask the question, tell me about the challenges that you have faced in your automation framework, or tell me the challenges that you have faced in your project. Now, most of the time, people just say the same thing. There was dynamic locators, okay, or probably they're going to talk about the response schema validation. But here, I have given you a completely different project, all right, and how exactly we will be testing this particular feature. So I'm not saying that, hey, your project needs to implement this kind of a feature. But if you're really aware of how exactly you will be testing speech to text engine, you can definitely take it as a leverage in your interview. Okay. I will be having a second part of this particular class. And in that second part, I will be walking through the entire code process, meaning the entire solution for doing the speech to text testing. Now, that particular part, I will be keeping it in the members only section. In coming days, it will be added. So if you're really interested in checking how exactly this entire stuff will be tested, I will highly recommend that you join the YouTube Tech with Jatin membership. So that's it for this particular class, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Now I'm going to see you guys in the next one. If you have watched the video till here, please make sure that you mark your attendance. And this is non-negotiable, guys. The thing is, if our videos gets a lot of comments, a lot of likes, then YouTube think that this video is a very valuable video and it should be shared with a hell lot of audience. So please make sure, guys, if you found any value from this particular video, make sure you comment and give a like or share so that this video reaches a wider audience. Also, if you want me to cover any particular question in this entire 90 days series, you know where to reach out to me. You guys can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Okay, just share me your questions. I'll definitely plan it in the upcoming lectures. Signing off is Jatin. Till then, take care. Bye bye.